Yeah, I couldn't come to school today. Oh god, I'm so sorry. I really can't come to exhibition. My body's not feeling good, so I need a rest. Alright, if there's anything about the exhibition, let me know. Alright, miss. Thank you. The reason I did not join exhibition is because first, I dislike exhibition. It sucks. Second, I need a break, and third, I need to see Immortal Engines. So I'll go watch the movie. We got tickets for Mortal Engines! This movie just made my day. Why don't you give me your love? Give me your love! So Mortal Engines is a movie directed by Kristen Rivers, if I'm not mistaken that I spelled his name right. Although it's a Peter Jackson movie, but this movie is still directed by Kristen Rivers. This movie takes place in the post-apocalyptic, where now that London has become a predator city, where it's basically an ongoing city with wheels, and suddenly Heather Shaw is basically taking revenge on his father for basically attempting to kill her mother, and therefore Heather Shaw must work together with some friends like Anna Fang and people like Tom so that she can take down her father, because her father is basically running this big London city that's trying to basically take over small cities. Now when I saw the first trailer, I thought that I wanted to see what to expect from this movie. I mean, it's a movie from Peter Jackson, and he didn't direct this movie, which was a little bit surprising. This movie got an early release for me, so when I see this movie, I mean, this movie's based on a novel, and it's a Peter Jackson movie, but he's just producing this movie, and therefore it's a movie about a big London city, London turning into a vehicle, which, you know, I laughed at the trailer reaction because I'm surprised. This movie also reminds me of Nexonites, and therefore this is how I describe that movie. This movie also I got an early release for this movie, and therefore when the movie came out, there was no reaction on Mortal Engines. I'm like, what is everyone saying about this movie? And I heard there are bad things about this movie, and I was like, I knew it. I knew it. So on Friday, like I mentioned in the beginning before, I decided to take a day off and then basically watch Mortal Engines for myself. And I thought that I had a great time watching this movie, because this movie was my ticket to exit exhibition, because I didn't enjoy exhibition. In school, I didn't like it, so I'm like, I need a day off, so I'm gonna go Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and so I can see this movie. Now, to be honest, what I like about this movie was actually the vehicles. When I walked into this movie, as the movie starts playing, when the movie starts rolling, the logo just starts telling you that basically there's a backstory that now the world is now filled with London, who's now basically this giant monster city that's basically eating on small city. And the movie starts up with, you know, London just basically taking on a small city. I mean, it's funny because, you know, the village just accidentally turns into a car, like it's basically kind of shape-shifting toy. I mean, Lego can make a toy out of it. I mean, it's funny when London just starts attacking cities, you see that audiences just basically the citizens just basically start going outside the balcony, and they're just cheering like it's nothing to them. It's like it's a reach to them. I mean, I thought I liked the vehicles. I mean, London is this big city. There's even a Caterpillar Centipede type vehicle, and that's just basically, you know, it's punk type. You know, they have this spider walking prison, and they even have a vehicle. I mean, the blimps are interesting. They even have this Air HQ, which is called Haven something, if I can't remember. But I would say that the inspiration that would be Feel Good Inc.'s Windmill from the Feel Good Inc. Gorillaz music video. That's how I would visualize it. So I would just visualize by a few inspirations that I get. So they just need a few inspiration, like the Feel Good in Windmill, and also this Nexonite's Fortress, which is basically a moving castle, and then they just built London, which is this big ongoing city, and that's how it builds. You know, that's the inspiration so that they can build, you know, make this movie from a novel and then adapt it into a movie. Nowadays, Hollywood are thinking of making a movie adapted from a novel so that, you know, people who dislikes reading novel won't get bored reading novels all the time and decide that, you know what, let's bring novel stories on the big screen so that people could understand more what the novel is supposed to look like. You could take it from Harry Potter, you could take it from Lord of the Rings, and even Game of Thrones, and Maze Runner, and even Divergent, The Fifth Wave, a movie that I never get to see even though I own it. They just tried, you know. This is different from a young adult movie. It just happens to have that fantasy action type. I mean, the action I thought was interesting, and I thought in terms of storyline was actually fine, you know. The storyline is about this girl who's basically trying to take revenge on his father, but as it lacks sometimes, it gets onto these backstories where you just 1 second and then suddenly they just give you a 1 second flashback for Heather Shaw's character. I mean, this movie lacks in terms of conflicts. I mean, I thought I enjoyed this movie as much as I do. I mean, the storyline was okay to me. You just get characters characters who just happens to be doing random things spontaneously, and you also get a little bit of conflict. I mean, you have two villains, and this one villain is basically having a backstory to it, and when Heather Shaw starts sharing her backstory, it feels like she's the one who started this conflict, which also becomes a big problem in this movie. You even get a character who's basically just, trying to get close to her, and then conflicts happen. I mean, you have to rely on one conflict and then they just rely to another conflict. It just keeps changing as long as it still goes ongoing plot. And throughout of characters, I mean, I thought the movie was also interesting, but there are just too many things with this movie. The characters are also something. I mean, when I walked in this movie, I was like, is there anything to like about these characters? I mean, you get Heather Shaw, which try not to keep fancy her, but Heather Shaw is an interesting character. She just happens to be a little bit nervous and all that because she had a very touching backstory, and her backstory just makes her what she is now. She's just trying to kill her father because her father is responsible, and therefore, yep, I mean, she's the main character in this movie. It's kind of like the Hunger Games, You also get this character named Tom, and to me, Tom is kind of like the outcast, just every time he talks, and then suddenly everyone just starts, trying to arm him like he's something, like he's going to attack just because he's from London. We get characters like Anna Fang. I mean, I thought Hugo Weaving was also interesting as the villain, but sometimes it gets a little bit skeptical. And also this guy named Shrike, which I didn't expect Stephen Lang to play his character, but Shrike just, it just happens to be there. Like I said, you get a conflict that just keeps changing. It's just from one to another plot. There's not really much I can tell about this movie, but I thought there were actually great visuals in this movie. But in terms of characters, the characters are something that you don't want to like with this movie. It's something that you don't want to mess. I mean, I like the characters. Characters are also interesting. So sometimes I'm a little bit of liking this movie than just disliking this movie because, I have my own different thoughts and everyone has different thoughts on the movie. But sometimes I just have to say what's the good and what's the bad of Mortal Engines. I got nothing else to say, but I'm going to say this, but Mortal Engines is a movie that keeps going on its rusty tracks. Now, when I say that, it means that I'm okay with this movie because there's not much I can tell about this movie, and what I can say is that Mortal Engines, I mean, it's a great movie. I mean, I just happen to sit there and enjoy it. This is also my cure from exhibition because I hate exhibition and I want to see what's good and what's bad with this movie. So I'm kind of sweating a lot with this movie. I know I haven't been working on a movie review in a long time, but we're kind of quantity over quality, so make sure you hit that subscribe button or tell your friends to, subscribe to me. But yeah, that was my reaction on Mortal Engines. I'm sorry, there's not really much I can say, but all movies I watched in November, including Bohemian Rhapsody, The Grinch, Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald, Ralph Breaks the Internet, Robin Hood, and Creed 2. I'm gonna actually review that in one video, so stay tuned for that. And also, I'm gonna be reviewing Aquaman as early as possible, and afterwards I'll get to Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. But yeah, that was my review on Mortal Engines. Here's the outro. That is all for this video. If you do enjoy this video, give it a like. That would be very helpful. And in the description, you'll find two links so you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Google+. I appreciate you guys for watching this, and I'll see you another time. Bye-bye.